Bad Sister 2015. From the first time Zoe met her new teacher at St. Adeline's School, she knew something wasn't right with Sister Sophia. Was it the red lipstick and refusal to recite the morning prayer? Or the way she eyed her brother Jason like he was desert? As Joe's suspicion grows, so does the creepy bond between the good sister and her brother, a bond bordering on seduction. But who will believe her? After all, Sister Sophia is a woman of the cloth, or is she? In some version of the film, lead actor name did not appear in the opening credit sequence, with only the supporting actors being listed during the opening scene, showing Jason playing a song in an online video announcing he is being enrolled in St. Adeline's. Viaggio Celebrity presents top 20 movies like Bad Sister. Number 20. Flavia, the Heretic 1974. In southern Italy, the nobleman father of Flavia beheads her lover and locks her away in a seaside convent. Flavia questions the submissive treatment of women and is submitted to the repressive Catholic system in the convent. When Flavia has the chance, she flees from the convent with her Jewish friend Abraham. However, they are captured by her father and Flavia is whipped and Abraham is imprisoned in the dungeons. This is the most notorious of the Nuns movies, but it is also very atypical of the genre. For one thing, it is serious, believable and fairly historically accurate. For one thing, it generally avoids being merely crass exploitation. There is love and romance, but it is all in the context of the film. There is also a lot of violence, but it is truly unpleasant and ugly violence. It is obviously not meant to simply titillate the audience. What you picture in your mind when you realize what is happening on screen is at least as terrible as anything that could have been achieved. Number 19. The True Story of the Nun of Monza, 1980. The Nun of Monza is the notorious story of Sister Virginia, first told in I Promise Sposi or Betrothed by Alessandro Manzoni in 1840. It is based in part on actual events that occurred in the 1630s in Spanish-occupied Italy, in which the sister bore Gianpaolo Osio two children and he committed several murders in a vain attempt to hide the truth. In this Bruno Mattei retelling of the story, Sister Virginia is sent to the convent of Monza, where she quickly becomes the target of the lecherous fugitive Gianpaolo Osio with the aid of his compatriot, the corrupt priest Don Paolo Aragon. But the pious Sister Virginia is also the Lady of Monza, mistress of the Levia estate upon the death of her father. Consequently, the sister elect her to be their mother superior. When old Sister Imbersega dies and she selects the devious Sister Benedetta as her assistant. To protect his affair with Sister Candida, Father Aragon blackmails Sister Benedetta into arranging a liaison between Virginia and Osio. Number 18. Alucarda, 1977. When the teenage orphan Justine arrives in a convent, she befriends Alucarda, who was raised since she was a baby by the nuns. They become best friends and stay together most of the time. When they meet a gypsy on the forest, he is indeed Satan and possesses the teenagers. Soon the convent is turned upside down, affecting the lives of Alucarda, Justine, the nun and the Father Lazzaro. The skeptic Dr. Osjek will also witness a showdown between good and evil affecting his belief. Alucarda, when spelled backward, means a Dracula. Quotes from the film were sampled by My Life with a thrill-kill cult in the song The Devil Does Drug. The sets were imaginative and quite impressive. The convent has the appearance of a cave and the multiple tiered Christ hanging from the ceiling is one of the most brilliant props. Instead of traditional habit, the nuns are clothed in what appear to be torn, bloodied bandages. Tina Romero, who plays Alucarda, gives a brooding and wonderfully wicked performance. When the action starts, it keeps a spirited pace right through to the end. There is more hysterical female screaming than you will ever witness in a single film. Number 17. Cloistered Nun Runa's Confession 1976. Sisterhood is powerful. Before leaving for a mission in Africa, Runa, a nun, visits her sister 3 years after entering the convent when her sister stole Runa's boyfriend. Runa comes to forgive and to help her sister make enough money buying and selling some convent property so she can marry. The old boyfriend has new woman in his life, but he and the sister tell Runa they are a couple in order to keep the property deal. To make even more money, Runa's sister wheedles large gifts from various men she's stringing along. There are flashbacks to Runa's love initiation at the convent. Has this taught meekness to Runa? This movie does give you some insight on the appeal of nuns for the Japanese. Only 2 scenes actually show life inside the convent. The opening scene where the heroine Runa is being assaulted by the priest while she rings the convent bell, and a flashback scene where as a novice she is assaulted for the first time by the same priest. Most of the movie, however, is about Runa returning to her hometown. She had apparently entered the convent after her sister had stolen her boyfriend. She has apparently forgiven them though and has come to offer them a chance to buy and resell some convent land so they can afford to get married. Unbeknownst to her, they are no longer a couple, but the greedy pair are willing to work together to get their hands on the valuable land. Number 16. Convent of Sinners 1986. France 1700. After being harassed by her own father, young Susanna Simonin is put into a convent to avoid a scandal. The monastery is a weird place, however, since the nuns are constantly horny and spend most of their time flogging themselves. The Mother Superior is attracted to Susanna, which makes her lover sister Teresa insanely jealous. When the Mother Superior contracts tuberculosis, the wild Teresa takes command of the monastery temporarily and misuses her power to make Susanna's life a living hell. Teresa spread a rumor that Susanna is possessed by the devil and lock her in a rat-infested dungeon, then trick the poor girl into drinking a substance that makes her furious. She later orders some of the nuns to drag Susanna from her bed and she whip her violently, claiming she is just trying to beat the devil out of her. The Monsignor hears word that one of the local nuns is demonically possessed and decides to investigate. He sends his personal exorcist to the convent and Susanna is tied up and tortured and confined to a cell. The exorcist even subjects Susanna to a holy water douche to clean the devil from her body. When the Mother Superior dies, Susanna is accused of causing the woman's death with witchcraft. Finally, a trial is held in which Susanna is accused of being in league with Satan. Number 15. The Sinful Nun of Saint Valentine 1974. Lucita has been locked away in a convent by her family in order to keep her away from her lover Esteban. The pair make plans to elope, but Esteban is accused of heresy before Lucita can escape. Hiding in the convent, Esteban discovers the horrifying depravity of the convent abbess sister incarnation. Can Esteban rescue his love from this madhouse before the Inquisitor discovers what is going on and has everyone executed? Much better plot than most 70s dramas. The fact that it even has a plot is a good start. The murder, the intrigue, the abbe and the abbess, the constant threat of the Spanish Inquisition, these all provide some great potential for a decent story. Unfortunately, writer-director Sergio Greco can't sustain the suspense and the cat is let out of the bag quite quickly on many of the intrigues. After that, it becomes more of a light thriller or action drama. Overall weak but not too bad. However, had potential to be fairly good. Number 14. Images in a Convent 1979. Locked behind the walls of a convent are an order of beautiful nuns whose vows force them to forget the pleasure of love contact. Crazed with lust and desire, many of the nuns pleased themselves and each other in fear of the Mother Superior. One night a wounded man is found on the ground of the convent and is brought inside to be healed. He becomes the focus of the young nuns' desire as each one tries to visit this young man. But along with him has come the evil force of Satan. A local priest proceeds to exorcise the demon from within, the holy building driving the nun into delirium of love madness. Though the plot suggests some exorcist-style horror, the film plays out much more like a quiet drama. A drama that includes oodles of explicit activity. As the nun fall into depravity of the love stakes begin to rise. Of the assorted sword act, viewer get to see some weeping, hetero and homo couplings. For a Jody Amato flick, it's surprisingly well made. Camera angles, lighting, pacing are all fairly good. Even the scripting and acting are better than the norm. Number 13. Ines de Villalonga, 1870. Agnes of the wealthy family of Villalonga entered as a novice in a cloistered convent. He soon falls in love with James, a soldier brother of another inmate, Sister Jessina, and is answered by it. To be together, the young men invent an excuse but is wounded by the Carlist. Lead actress of the film is Monica Janji. Slender and attractive blonde Monica Janji was born in Switzerland. Janji lived the first 7 years of her life in Bern before moving with her family to Italy to treat her ailing brother. Monica's family decided to settle in Italy, so she studied in Bergamo for a while prior to deciding at age 15 to leave home without informing her parents to hitchhike abroad alone. For a whole year, her family didn't know her whereabouts, to the point where the Interpol was notified of her absence, until they started receiving bills from various hotels where she ran a scheme of checking in pretending that her parents are on their way and then sneak out without paying rent after a couple of weeks of stay. Janji found herself traveling to such places as Spain, France and England. Later, Monica hitchhiked to Sicily. While in Sicily, she met a movie agent who convinced her to have some still shot taken of her. Monica subsequently embarked on a brief acting career in various Italian pictures. Number 12. The Lady of Monza, 1969. A film loosely based on real-life event of Mariana, better known as the Nun of Monza, a 17th century nun accused of and tried by the church for breaking celibacy and plotting murder. Luciano Visconti had tried to make this with Sophia Loren, but it never materialized. The Nun of Monza main aspect are the prestigious names roped into suit and score it. On the other hand, the career director Visconti did not amount to much. Anyway, Haywood is decent in the lead, but Sabato fatally lacked conviction as the man for whom she pretty much loses her soul. Sadly, Kruger is not given much to do in spite of the complexity of his role. Also on hand are Giovanna Galletti as the stricter nun who succeed Haywood, Pier Paolo Caponi, a blonde Rita Calderoni as Sabato's jilted fiancée, and oddly uncredited since both roles have considerable prominence, Carla Gravina and Luigi Pistelli. Number 11. Satanico Pandemonium, 1975. Sister Maria lived with the convent for her charity works, but in the secret dawn of her fantasies, she becomes agonized by vision from another world, a world in which she is permitted to run free. In this world, Satan is her lord, and her act of violence and blasphemy mount. Sister Maria realizes that she is elected by the devil himself to destroy the convent and lead her sister nun into hell. Only the devil can intuit the dark secret of her tortured mind. Satanico Pandemonium is probably best known as the name of yummy Salma Hayek's character in Robert Roderick From Dusk Till Dawn. What remains unknown to many, however, is the fact that when writing the script, Quentin Tarantino adapted the name from the title of this ingeniously deranged piece of Mexican nun horror. The main protagonist, a lovely nun by the way, does things that easily compete in weirdness with feeding on biker and truckers. People interested in cult cinema will sooner or later find out that Mexican horror cinema has a very specific charm. This is especially the case with the fistful of weird Mexican nun flicks, most prominently Alucarda. And while Satanico Pandemonium of 1975 is not nearly as ingenious a film as Alucarda, it is definitely a wonderfully deranged little film that is highly recommendable to exploitation lovers. Number 10. Life in a Convent, 1972. The Venerable Mother Superior leads a strict regiment in her Bavarian monastery school, in which modesty and piety paired with moral theological view from the 19th century are the most important maxim that the growing young girls who are in the blasphemous world out there so many temptations are exposed to be given on the way to life. The approximately 120 convent students are taught by religious nuns, but the young life-hungry girls don't take all of this seriously. They are in the experimental stage, want to try out everything that is fun, and that of course include love, romance and enjoying their own bodies. Gundula and Edith, for example, are such precocious fruit who want to explore life outside the monastery walls. One night they take off their modest monastery school clothing and dress in a modern and provocative manner, as is normal with their peers outside. You climb over the asylum wall and end up in the next disco to meet some nice and willing guys like Tommy Decker. When she with the rickety students shuffled back behind the monastery walls, they have to find out that such a small and uncomfortable car is only a poor substitute for bed. Harriet and Gerda, on the other hand, want to try out very practically whether the love between woman and woman is perverse, the onanism is a sin, and the love act between two unmarried people is actually fornication, as Sister Barbara claimed with full conviction. Number 9. Sister Emanuelle, 1977. Renouncing her sinful past, Emanuelle moves into a convent and becomes a nun, dedicating her life to religion and rejecting sin. Monica, a free-spirited daughter of a rich baron, joined the convent. She tells one sister how she was assaulted by a group of young men. This gains her sympathy from her fellow sisters. Monica has loved and performed various love acts with various men in and around the convent. Various nuns witness this, causing them to question their faith and break their repression. Monica has a love relationship with another sister and blackmail her if she does not comply with her demand. Later, a mysterious man armed with a gun visits the convent. He has love with Monica, witnessed by most nuns in the convent. Monica is later dismissed. Emanuelle later leaves of her own free will. This movie was not directed by Jody Amato but fit right in with the transgressive films he directed in the series, in that it managed to combine nunploitation with schoolgirl exploitation. You might point out that the voluptuous Monica Zanchi is not especially believable as a schoolgirl, and the svelte and charming Laura Jameson is not even remotely believable as a nun. So we are pretty safely ensconced in the world of fantasy here. The two actresses are a pretty incendiary combination and downright explosive when you add in Italian-born Dirce Funari as the stepmother. Number 8. Story of a Cloistered Nun, 1973. A woman who was promised to a powerful family's son at birth falls in love with another man, refuses to renounce him, and is sent to a nunnery by her shocked parents. Once there, she first undergoes degradation to acclimatize her to convent life, then she experiences love by the repressed nun and becomes pregnant by her lover. Finally, her refusal to accede to one nun's lascivious female advances leads to plotting and treachery, and her lover being murdered out of jealousy. Her life now ruined, she further scandalizes her family by refusing to take her vows, and leaves the convent, devoting her existence to those in need. Claims to be based on a true story. Considering that this is an obscure movie made in Italy in 1973, the cinematography and production value are surprisingly good, and Story of a Cloistered Nun is actually not really a trash film at all. This is likely to annoy some viewers and indeed do watch this sort of stuff mainly to see love and violence, but can't be too hard on the film as the director manages to keep things interesting throughout. And it's obvious that a lot of work went into it. The acting is largely good, with Suzy Kendall providing the highlight role as Mother Superior. The fact that the film isn't very nasty certainly helped it when it comes to the female love plot, as the fact that it isn't brutal or forced actually means that the film is more erotic than it otherwise might have been. Number 7. Behind Convent Walls, 1978. A jealous, handsome priest who is the confessor for a convent full of women encouraged the equally jealous abbess of one such institution to enforce the same strict rules on these unfortunate women that are applied to others. In doing so, they uncover a snake pit of love couplings, both love between female and heterosexual, as well as many tools for self-love. At the same time, a particularly disturbed inmate managed to poison herself and many of the other novitiates in yet another scandal, which is covered up by church authorities. This is the fourth movie by Valerin Borowczyk. Jess Franco and Jean Rollin were blurring the boundaries between art and exploitation movie around the same time as Borowczyk, but they are both a little easier to get a handle on. What Borowczyk was aiming for in Behind Convent Wall is difficult to work out, but it's fascinating viewing nevertheless. Number 6. The Killer Nun, 1979. It features Anita Ekberg as Sister Gertrude, who is recovering from the removal of a brain tumor, although her Mother Superior dismisses Sister Gertrude's fears about a rush recovery. Unfortunately, soon enough it becomes clear that Sister Gertrude's fears were legitimate, as the hapless nun spiraled into psychosis and addiction to morphine and heroin at the hospital where she worked. As well as initiating an affair with Sister Matthews, Sister Gertrude stomped on an elderly woman's denture. Reads gory, hagiographic detail of the lives of torture sent to her helpless charges, goes into a nearby town, pick up a man at a bar and has impersonal love, then return to the hospital and maneuver to have concerned Dr. Poiret dismissed due to his age. A handsome new doctor, Dr. Patrick Rowland, arrives and becomes suspicious of Sister Gertrude. After Sister Gertrude is accused of throwing an elderly man engaged in love with a nurse out of a window, inflict grueling calisthenic of elderly patient and take a patient crutches, forcing him to crawl. Finally, the Mother Superior is convinced that she must do something about her aberrant behavior. But is Sister Gertrude really the perpetrator of murder, or is someone trying to frame her? Number 5. Love Letter of a Portuguese Nun, 1977. 16-year-old Maria is forced into Serra de Air convent secretly run by Satanists. Her confessor is in collusion with the Mother Superior. Maria is tortured, forced into love with men, women and the horned devil, and told that it's all a bad dream. She writes a letter to God and a knight rescue her, only to fall into the hand of the Inquisition, put on the rack and condemned to death like Joan of Arc. The film was complete in 1975, but it went through a number of censorship ban, appeal, rejection and editing for release in different markets in 1978. In 1963, this was announced as a project for Natalie Wood and her company Rona Production. Whether it is the same story is unsure. The movie was object of a news scandal in 1983 in Portugal when a tabloid claimed that Portuguese actors were involved in the pornographic mafia. In fact, most of the cast was unaware of the explicit content and were caught by surprise when it was released. Actor Tomoyuki Tanaka, who later became a well-known Portuguese TV host, took the role of the prince by saying he knew how to ride a horse, which wasn't true. He took some quick lessons before shooting his scene, but not enough to properly control the horse. This is evident in his first scene when Maria is taken away by the Inquisitors. Number 4. The Little Hours, 2017. On the run from the battle season, Lord Bruno for sleeping with his wife, the handsome and willing Sir Masetto flee to the safety of the woods during the warm and peaceful summer of 1347. There, after a chance encounter with the always boozy but merciful Father Tommaso, The young charmer will find refuge into his convent sanctuary on one condition: to pretend he is a deaf and mute. However, Maceto's tempting presence will unavoidably upset the already frail balance of things within the repressed female realm, as nun after nun desperately seek an escape from their tedious way of life and an extra reason to molest the charming handyman. In the end, will those cloistered sisters finally find out what they had been missing out on all these years? Everyone in this movie has its repressing the dress role and desire in alternate life. Little Ours is more than the antic of foul-mouthed nun trio. It is a modern comedy set in 13th century, and what a refreshing modern comedy it is. The charm of the humor in the movie is that the situation everyone finds themselves in. The comedy is less about what is actually being said, but the extreme hypocrisy of what we preach against our true desires. Events mostly take place at a convent, but religion is never the central message. Little Ours rather exposes crudity of humanity under the neat veils and robes. None of the acting is really Oscar-worthy. They appear almost amateur-like, and that is part of the charm. Music is simple and unobtrusive. Story is straightforward but contains pleasant surprises. Number 3. The Nun, 2013. France in the 7th house, when the Mother Superior who had brought her comfort and solace dies. Her successor, Sister Christine, turns out to be sadistic and cruel Mother Superior, inflicting the worst forms of humiliation upon Suzanne, such as depriving her of food and clothing. Suzanne is finally transferred to another convent, where she discovers another kind of Mother Superior who develop an inappropriate affectionate bond with her. Adapted from Diderot's eponymous novel, The Nun tells the story of a woman trying to resist imposed religious values, revealing the dehumanizing effect of cloistered life. Number 2. The Nun and the Devil, 1973. Kingdom of Naples. The Roman Inquisition and the witch hunt are in force, and torture is authorized in the trials, while the people live in misery and fear. The handsome Spanish nobleman Don Carlo enjoys it in the convent of Saint Arcangelo, satisfying his eroticism with Sister Julia, a powerful ecclesiastic who aspired to the title of abbess of the convent. Having evaluated the power of Don Carlos, Julia tried to please him, while other sisters, especially Sister Carmela, plot against her as interested in the coveted title of abbess. Julia offers herself on several occasions to Don Carlos and eager to be alone with her sweetheart, Sister Chiara. Julia pleases Don Carlos even when he asks her to spend a night of love with the beautiful young Sister Isabella. Julia's niece forces against her will to take the monastic vows, but in reality very much in love with her boy from the country origin. Considering that the current abbess, Sister Lavina, appeared to be ever closer to death, Julia and Carmela go wild in a war that will have to determine who, on Lavina's death, will succeed her in her duties and function. From pure action moved by jealousy, they pass to poisoning, traps, complaint, and false accusations. If Sister Julia favored Don Carlos, Sister Carmela, even through some protector and lover, she reveals a criminal conduct at least equal to that of Julia. Number 1. Bed Starters, 1976. The Impossible Love Between a Young Man and a Nun. In 1944, in Marcel Denis finishes his third year at a Jesuit college. During a visit to a patient in a hospital, he notices Sister Clotilde, a young nun who is not insensitive to her charm. Their friendship grows until the Mother Superior understands that it is evolving toward a feeling of love. Despite the advice of their respective entourage and imposed separation, they give in to their passion and eventually run away to spend the summer in Hotel Law, in property of the family of Sister Clotilde. When the liberation arrives, the taboos and society catch up with them. John Baptiste Rossi is none other than Sebastian Japros, who wrote such thrillers as Les et Meurtriers or La Dame Danse, El Auto Avec. The critics were very hard on Les Malpartis when it was theatrically released. Based on an autobiographical novel, it is at least more palatable than the aforementioned thriller. Dennis is a young bourgeois in a junior high school where a supervisor gives the student a rough time. Dennis needs something new. He falls in love with Clotilde, but she is a nun. She realizes it's a forbidden love, but passion grows stronger and the society is not prepared to accept it.